Wonder what's wrong with this one. I'll plug in a DC in board and we will see. That CPU kind of looks a little suspicious. That almost looks like that was reflowed. I can't really tell though. Just looks like a piece of junk. What is this junk? It doesn't look like thermal paste. We get no green light in the charger. Now, in order to have a green light in the charger, we need components to be right here. And if we look closely, we notice that there's no components right here, which is not good. And also, notice that we need this MOSFET here, which someone has taken that off for some reason before it was sent here, which is always loads of fun. If you notice right here, it looks like our ISL has a corroded capacitor for current sensing, which isn't a big issue, but hopefully I have that MOSFET. Can always steal it off of a junk board, which I will most likely do. Let's find a junk board to pull that MOSFET off of. This board looks like junk. So first things first is we are going to put a MOSFET right there. And we're also going to replace the ISL because that ISL is probably not trustable. What does left a battery connector look like? It looks like a battery connector that's melted because someone was here before me. Typical for boards that were messed with prior to getting here. Never good to mess with boards before sending them here. It is never fun when stuff is messed with, because usually when they're taking off MOSFETs and stuff, there's a short somewhere that they can't solve, so they take that off to try and relieve the short before giving up and saying send it to me, or Lewis, or anybody else that fixes boards. It's a 4chan troll board. Absolutely correct. What do I have under the scope? I have a pile of trash. Typical of most boards that are sent here. Which is no fun. Makes no sense why MacBook is missing parts. MacBook's missing parts is no fun. Now notice we have a capacitor right here that is just sitting here. Where does this capacitor go, I wonder? They mark a note. Yeah, either way, it's trash. The thing is, when you screw with it, it's almost always unrepairable. I mean, not always, but generally when you don't know what you're doing and you mess with it, not saying that this board, the person didn't know what they're doing, but on most boards that people try and repair themselves, they don't know what they're doing, they destroy the board, then they get mad when I tell them I can't fix it and send them a bill for return shipping. And that MOSFET is soldered. Make sure it's not shorted, gate to drain or anything like that. And I think we have a problem right here, so we're going to pull this MOSFET back off. And we're going to check for a short. There's a short. A short is not good. Dead short. That's not good. What is shorted on this MacBook? Probably something important. Maybe it's something easy and they just remove MOSFETs to make my job funner. What is shorted? Oh, that's ground all along. So we don't have a short. I'm just being stupid. As you can see here, there's more stuff removed from this board. This is a 13-inch retina. Clean up all that leaded solder. We're going to wick this away, and we're going to solder these components with our iron, because if we use the hot air, we're going to melt two connectors. If we work on the board like this, it ensures that we do not melt any connectors. Melting connectors creates unnecessary work. Unnecessary work is not fun. Unnecessary work creates headache, and headache is not necessary. Come on, why won't you solder? There we go. That resistor is soldered. Now, if we turn the board on with this yucky ISL, it is most likely going to kill our MOSFET. And as you can see, that capacitor does not look very happy. So the ISL must be removed and replaced with a happier ISL. Two other resistors are fine. They look fine, they don't have a hole in them. But we can always check them. Checking a resistor will not hurt the resistor. Out of range, I mean, generally they work if it's below 7 ohms or below 6 ohms on one of them, and the other one is pretty much always 18 to 25. I haven't seen one not work if it's at 6 ohms or anything like that. They always work just fine. So when you usually, as long as it's not open, it'll work. Those resistors don't have anything to do with battery percentage, I don't think. The 98% on a new bat charged for 5 hours, usually that's going to be the firmware in the battery itself. The only thing current sensing does in this circuit is, one, it lets it know if it's using too much current to allow it to charge, but that doesn't really have anything to do with battery percentage. That's all reported by the board on the battery itself that gives the value in milliamp hours, not the ISL. The ISL doesn't really do much about that. At least not to my knowledge. I'm not an engineer. It could show the battery draining at a strange rate, I guess. Okay, and we put missing components on this MacBook. I'm going to plug it in. And most likely we'll get a dead CPU because it looks like someone heat gunned it. Heat gunning your CPUs is not good. Please do not heat gun your CPU. It's not necessary. Plug it in. And we get a green light in the charger. And we get 1.8 volts on CPU V-core. And the CPU gets burning hot. Let's see if we get a light on a USB mouse. Have to find a USB mouse first. Push down the CPU like an ISL chip. Yeah, that's not fun. Alright, so we're going to plug this in. And this will be our 21st century fan spin, if it works. TCRS recommends heating CPUs to just below. No, what I recommend, if you heat gun your CPU, you're going to Google the Mac Studio LLC in Venice Beach, California, and you're going to use their mail-in repair services so they can put a new BGA CPU on your board. And I'm hoping this lights up. And their CPU gets burning hot, and this does not light up. Which means our CPU is shorted to ground. CPU shorted to ground is no fun. And it's probably because the CPU is heat gunned. Notice how this is bubbly right here. See that? See how that's bubbly? See how that's bubbly and burned? Yeah, you popcorn the CPU for a PP-Bus G3 hot issue. Sad. This board could have been fixable. Heat gun CPU for PP-Bus G3 hot issue. Completely preventable, but trash. Next board. This MacBook has nothing missing from it, and has flux around it. Yeah, but the thing is, this one looks the same too. Who wants a job? Look at this. Come on. Why do people do this? Why do you heat gun the CPU if it doesn't? Yeah. Come on. Look, this is even melted where it's... Look, right here, melted. Coming out. Because it was heat gunned. Well, I don't understand the mentality of, you know, let's just heat this up if it doesn't work, and maybe it'll work again. Yeah, heat gun CPU. What does this one even do? Does this one turn on? Let's plug it in. CPU gets slightly warm. Yeah, the CPU is getting warm. Not really warm, it's kind of cool, but it definitely increases temperature a little bit. And we get no CPU vCore. And of course, if we flip the board over to where our CPU vCore is generated, we see this. This is the reason why I'm tired all the time. So what we're going to do is just rest in peace all of this junk, and we are going to peel and replace all of this. So, starting with you. And yet again, my poor hand control and shaky hands have knocked off components. Poor Tim has to intake computers fixed by... Now, this wasn't a shop near me, unfortunately. Yeah, if this was a shop by me, they would have had it. The thing is that first board made me sad because that wasn't a... And it appears that my Hakko iron has died. There we go. It was in sleep because the cable is resting on the holder. Anthony should start doing mail-ins. That way, all of the stuff that I can't fix, I'll send to the Mac Studio and it will magically be returned fixed. It's an excellent idea. These boards make me want to go home. There's too much solder on the center pads. That looks pretty good. gonna steal these regulators from another board. My hands are not complying with what my brain is telling them to do right now. I am sick and tired. Well, not really sick. I'm just incredibly tired today. How is your TCRS franchise going, Nasera? When are you going to open TCRS in Sweden? Now the ISL 958, which has been destroyed. And all my ISL 958s have been stolen. That's a common chip to fail. Usually when that chip fails, the CPU dies, but I doubt the CPU is dead. Well, then again, someone heat gunned this one before it came here, so there's a good chance that it will die a short time after it leaving here, which will result in me getting blamed for a dead CPU when I won't post. Double franchising. Well, that's a good idea. If CPU is dead, remember to rehot. Yeah, that seems to be a pretty popular thing to do nowadays. TCRS franchise is better than Rossmann Repair franchise. TCRS franchise is more efficient and faster. How's the inbox? Surprisingly, there hasn't been any Fleasbros. There was like one, and that was unrelated, I think, which is surprising. What jobs you have lined up? I have a lot of just nonsense jobs. I have Windows reinstall, no fun. I have copy some HP laptop internal storage to an external SSD. I have a pile of MacBook board repairs. Is it the right orientation? Probably not. It wouldn't surprise me. My brain is not working properly today. It's not even soldered right at all. I mean, look at this. Yeah, this is not even soldered halfway correct. This is what I don't get when I get people that message me and say, I want you to train me. No, you really don't. That looks good enough. No, who are we kidding? Can't wait to start board repairs on iPhones. iPhone board repairs are terrible. Except on iPhone 4. Fed up with screens, charger ports, housings. Oh, you'll be fed up with board repairs too. Phones are a pain. Phone customers are a pain too. So I want it back now. I demand you give my phone back to me now. No. You don't demand anything in here. Sometimes it helps when there's demanding customers to have a competitor around that you can just refer them to. Yeah, this is not soldered. I have no idea what I was thinking. Let's pull this thing up. I was using that Amtech 213. 559 is better. Having used both, 559 is better. And then you call competitor, aka friend, and ask them what they say. No, I'm not talking about a friend. I'm talking about a real competitor. Alright, that's good enough. Should we replace FETs? No, those CPU FETs look okay. I'm not putting any more effort into this board than what is required, especially when you peek on the CPU. Look at this, it's all burned. Popcorned. Alright, let's plug it in. Are we going to get VCore? Or is the CPU die going to explode in my face? Our CPU is getting considerably hotter. And yet we don't get VCore. which means this is another board for the trash pile because the CPU was reflowed. Yet another trash reflow board. To the next one. What's wrong with you? There's no notes here. This board looks pretty clean. This board looks unusually clean. What is wrong with this board? It appears that someone is posting iPad questions in my MacBook support forum. iPads are funny looking MacBooks. Alright, so next board. Someone was here. Can I ban him? You're a moderator there. Why not? Who in chat wants to be another moderator for the MacBook group? Alright, so this MacBook looks... oh, come on. Do I have permission to quit? Can I quit? Who wants to work here? Watch, this isn't gonna post. This is what's gonna happen. This isn't gonna have image. Let's get a DC on board. I don't know if that was reflowed or just from the ultrasonic. What's the weather like? It is raining and cold. Perfect weather to fix MacBooks. Oh, Piranov, this is typical here. I'm trying to change that. I'm just going to get rid of everyone that does this nonsense. And say you don't reflow CPU before sending it here. If you reflow CPU before sending it here, you're going to get in trouble. And this has 1.87 volts of CPU V-core, and the CPU is getting only mildly warm. If we plug in a USB mouse, I bet it's not going to light up. Maybe Lewis sent all those. No, Lewis didn't send these. And there's no light on the USB mouse, so watch, we're going to be missing platform reset L because our CPU is going to be dead. So we can measure platform reset L right over here. And it appears that was already been measured before. Platform reset L is 3.5 volts. That is too high. Platform reset L should not be 3.5 volts. Unless my meter battery is dead. That's probably what's going on. This board is an excellent board to go to Rossmann Repair Group. And also, we could bribe Paul to make sure this gets to Lewis. Let's see if anything is knocked off. You have a crack. No, it's just a scratch. Residual flux in the factory. We will check clock on oscilloscope. This is sad. So many boards reflowed. Does anyone understand this mentality? Board does not work. Let's reflow. It makes zero sense to me. I don't understand where that mindset comes from of reflowing stuff when it doesn't work. It doesn't even make sense. It's like, what does making something hotter change? How does that change things? I mean, yeah, with a GPU, sure, I get it. But on a CPU, especially an Intel CPU that it almost never dies unless you screw with it, I don't understand that mentality of heating stuff up to make it work again. It just doesn't make any sense. I had someone reflow an ISL before that didn't charge. Like, what do you think is going to happen with that? Why do you think reflowing an ISL is going to make it work again? It doesn't make any sense. Alright, so we're going to check RTC voltage, not RTC voltage, 32 kilohertz out of the clock chip. If we have an issue with our crystal, if the crystal is not 100% right, then what's going to happen is we will get power, but we're not going to get post. It's not going to pass post. Now, posting issues can be literally anything. They're generally a nightmare. They could be, it could be anything. And we are getting, come on, 32.7 kilohertz out of the clock chip. There's no problems there. Now what about right here? Mostly crack solder, it happens. Yeah. Good there. Right here. Yep. But I mean, most of the times these Intel CPUs don't die from cracked solder. I'm just checking our traces and we are good. Sometimes these traces between Y1905 and Why 1905 and U1900 just corrode internally from residue from the factory, but these are good. They're you were getting 25 kilohertz from them. Um, so yeah, not posting, no liquid damage. It's trash. Alright, so... Oh, we just did that with power applied. That was real smart. We just diode mode probed around our board with power applied. Let me check that. We're good. I've never had a Core i5 or i7 react to heat. Yeah, this is another one for the trash pile. What's next? Another no post. Another no post with flux on it. But hey, look at this. Is this some sort of a miracle? This can't be possible. Our CPU is not reflowed. Maybe this has a chance. No one has reflowed this CPU. This may have a chance to work properly. This MacBook may stand a chance. This MacBook doesn't post, but maybe it'll stand a chance. Confirm that this doesn't post. So what do we get on vCore? Now typically when these post, it drops down to like 1.7 compared to 1.8. And it's at 1.88, so that's pretty typical for no post. So what we're gonna do is open a board view for an 820-3435, which should be open. Let's see here. We need to check platform reset L. Platform reset L causes a lot of no posting issues. And that's going to show up right over here on these resistors. And that's 3.3 volts. Everything appears to be working just fine in this circuit. Someone messed with this. Is it possible that maybe there's junk under our SMC? If someone messed with that, change the clock chip, maybe there's a broken ball under there. would be really nice if I can have a MacBook that wasn't messed with prior. If you've messed with your MacBook, I suggest that you send it here. If you have questions, send them to that same place. Another good place to get your questions answered is send an email to lewis@rossmangroup.com. Either way. Either Anthony or Lewis would be happy to assist in answering your board repair questions. Good job, Aaron. The Mac Studio will answer all of your questions related to MacBooks. MacBooks, iMacs, Windows computers, water heaters, air conditioners, anything. Business advice, health advice, anything. Put some flux around this SMC. Alright, now that this board is cooled, we're going to plug it in and see if we get a light on the USB mouse. Those tweezers have seen some better days. Yep, that's for sure. Ow. That CPU is dangerously hot. That burned me. And that's not even near our SMC. Does that mean it's posting? Or is it shorted? And yeah, no post. This thing is actually getting hot enough to turn the... Wait, it is posting. Look at that. That is posting. That is a working MacBook. We fixed a MacBook today. There was junk under the SMC. So this MacBook is fixed. This needs to get ultrasonic. And this should be a working MacBook. What is it? And we have another one that says... We have another MacBook that... We don't care about sensors, Anthony. Sensors are optional equipment. Whoa, what's this? There's flux right there. There's flux around the clock chip. There's flux around U1950. What does this even do? Let's turn it on. It says trash on it. So I bet on this one the CPU is going to be dead shorted to ground. No CPU V-core. PP bus is there. Yeah, you know what? Goes in the trash pile, which leaves... Yeah, I think it's time to go home. Or is it? What is this? Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna take an early day off. Yeah, I think it's time to go home and rest. And I'll come back here later. I need an easy board. It's been a whole month of this nonsense. Sometimes it's best to do that on Mondays. Yeah, I guess it is. Alright, that's it for today. I'm out of here. I will see you guys in the next stream, whenever that'll be, probably Wednesday.